This video is about Daedalic Entertainment's apology for the release of The Lord of the Rings Gollum, the game. And it's part of a series that I'm doing that tries to show that there is a reoccurrence of gaming companies releasing games that it seems they're not happy with and that they don't expect are going to meet the consumer's expectations because it's not what they promised or it's not what they wanted, but they release it anyway, take the money, and then say, oh, well, we'll go ahead and fix it now. So I'm getting ahead of myself because that's what I'm going to talk about in the final video. And I really just want to talk about the apology here for Gollum. But this is a good article, by the way. I already have my thesis and pretty much everything in my mind of what I wanted to do when I came across this article about Gollum, and there's some overlap. This author was also kind of, headed the same way. So I highly encourage you to read this article, and I think I'm going to reference it again in the final video. I probably won't reference the others, but this one I like some of the things that he was exploring because they're the same kind of things I was exploring. So with that being said, I have two caveats. First, it's late and I am doing this off the top of my head. So if I misspeak or misquote something, misstate something, misread something is the word I'm really looking for. If I miss anything, I apologize because, yeah. And second, I am not a lawyer. There's no legal insight here. If I use a word that has a legal connotation, I'm not using it that way. I'm using it as a dictionary definition of the word. So with that out of the way, BBC News article came out, published May 31st of 2023. So what's that? Not even 2 weeks ago. The title is Gollum, Game Mocked as Developers Daedalic Entertainment Issue Apology. I'm going to actually scroll down and read the author's name. Oh boy, I guess that could be pronounced Guy or Guy. Well, I guess that could be pronounced Lambert or Lambert. So I'm just going to say Guy, and I apologize if I got that wrong. But all right, let me go to, and there's only a couple sentences I'm going to read in here, maybe two or three. So let me start here. In a statement posted on Twitter, the developers said, quote, "We would like to sincerely apologize for the underwhelming experience many of you have had with The Lord of the Rings Gollum upon its release." Okay, so I'm not on Twitter. I'm on YouTube. That's why I'm doing this here and why I'm reading a BBC article. But anyone who watched the Cyberpunk 2077 apology video, man, does this not just sound so similar? We would like to, and they use the word sincerely, apologize. It's just the same thing. I'm sorry. To me, this is not an apology. At best, it's some sort of pseudo apology. It's watered down. It's in a passive voice. It's in some funky future tense. We sincerely apologize. That's an apology. Can we all just agree upon that? I'm going to put this in the rearview mirror, much like I did with Cyberpunk 2077's wording. But when I see or hear apologies that have things like "we would like to," I mean, you might as well say "we might apologize." Is that an apology? We could apologize. We would like to apologize. I'm waiting for the word "but" or however, but we're not going to. I mean, just get to the apology. We sincerely apologize. Okay, moving on. Rearview mirror. For the underwhelming experience many of you have had with The Lord of the Rings Gollum upon its release. Well, why isn't it an underwhelming experience, I wonder? Because I'm not sure. There's no definition of why they're saying it's an underwhelming experience. So let's move on to the next sentence. Quote, We acknowledge and deeply regret that the game did not meet the expectations we set for ourselves or for our dedicated community. Wow. How do I interpret this? How do I read this any other way than when they say the game did not meet the expectations we set for ourselves? How do I not read that as they weren't happy with the game, but they put it out anyway? That's how I read it. If it didn't meet their expectations, I mean, are they trying to say because it didn't meet your expectations, it didn't meet ours? Because why didn't they put us at the beginning and say, we're sorry it didn't meet your expectations and that doesn't meet our expectations? No, they put themselves first. They said the game did not meet our expectations. I'm sorry, I'll quote it exact. The game did not meet the expectations we set for ourselves or for our dedicated community. Well, if it doesn't meet their expectations, it cannot possibly meet ours, can it? I mean, could they be that naive? And if it was that they're disappointed that it didn't meet our expectations, then they should have put that first, right? I mean, this isn't semantic. This is an admission that, to me, that the game was not being sold at the level that the publisher, the developer, the game company intended. And they knew it. Yet they did it anyway because they wanted the money. And this is a common theme that just keeps happening and happening. And it's even worse than that. And now I'm getting into the summation, so I'm going to back off and just stay with this. So I don't see this as an apology. Now I'm seeing this as an admission that it appears that they knew the game wasn't going to be good because it didn't meet their own expectations, and now it isn't meeting our expectations. So let me go to the last sentence I want to read. And that is, Daedalus have said that they will continue to work on the game to, quote, address the bugs and technical issues many of you experienced. So here's the other part of the common theme to these games, at least, because it doesn't necessarily follow every game that's coming out with problems, but it's a portion of them. And that is, these games are potentially being put out when they're not fully developed, they're not what was promised, the companies know it, and they're taking our money. Sometimes they're not informing us of the state of the game. And then they're telling us, oh, well, here's a half-ass apology. Give us a little pat on the head and then shoo us off and say, come back in a couple weeks. We'll have a patch maybe, or a couple months. And this pattern is continuing, and it's getting worse, in my opinion, and it's not going to get better, in my opinion. And this is where I'm going to stop this video and move toward making the final video where I talk more in detail about everything and the common thread. But I don't like this apology, because I don't see it as a sincere apology, even though they use the word sincerely. I do see there's an admission here that they knew that the game wasn't meeting their standards, and yet they sold it anyway. And then they're keeping the money and saying, we'll get a fix. Just hold your horses. So, moving on. Final video.